restore your dead to life.
But perhaps I can give you justice in the name of our king.
Hey everyone, episode 6 just aired and once again a lot of crazy stuff went down. Luckily for us, all the events took place in only a few locations, so it was a lot easier to keep track of the timeline. Anyway, if you haven't seen the episode, go watch it first and then come back here for the breakdown. To begin, I think we should cover everything going on at Winterfell before heading beyond the wall. Arya seemingly plays into Littlefinger's game and confronts Sansa about the letter she sent to Robb. I'm not sure Arya is really falling for Baelish's trick, however. We know he's trying to pit the two sisters against each other, most likely in hopes that he'll have Sansa to himself. At this point, Sansa doesn't know how to feel about Arya, or her other siblings for that matter. In a way, it's not much different than it was before. The two sisters never really saw eye to eye, and that's not going to change now. At least Arya trusts her big sister enough to give her the cat's paw dagger. Alright, the main plot in this episode is the group heading beyond the wall. The men consist of Jon, Tormund, Gendry, Beric, Thoros, and the Hound, along with some extra wildlings. The reason they're up there is to capture a white. After a long montage of walking around, they sneak up on a small group of whites being marched around by a single White Walker. The guys take care of the whites while Jon takes on their leader with Longclaw. Just as before, the White Walker stands no chance against Valyrian steel. One thing that stands out is what happens to most of the whites when Jon kills the White Walker. This signifies the control White Walkers have on the dead. Each one seems to be controlling whites through warging or some similar ability. It kind of makes sense. I mean, why wouldn't White Walkers have warging abilities if their leader, the Night King, does? Apparently, the key to taking out vast numbers of whites is killing their leaders. That's even what was discussed between Jorah and Jon when the group was waiting to be saved. Anyway, from what we saw during the battle, the Night King's army is gigantic, and what's worse is the army can only get bigger. When the bulk of the army comes running at the group, they don't attack like they did at Hardhome. They actually circle around the living in a strategic position and wait there. This proves once again that there's more to the White Walker's purpose and drive than what we see at surface level. For example, the Night King didn't have his army advance on Jon Snow, even though the men were majorly outnumbered. The battle didn't start until right before Daenerys showed up with her dragons. Speaking of dragons, poor Viserion. That ice spear pretty much killed him right on impact. So that means we are officially down one dragon. And since the Night King resurrected Viserion, we are most likely going to see him breathe ice instead of fire. If you think fire breathers do some damage, sightings of ice dragons over the Shivering Sea are said to be much bigger than the dragons that roamed Valyria before the Doom. If that's the case, then Viserion may grow to be double the size of his siblings. Not good for the living, I'd have to say. Jon Snow gets tackled into the icy water as Dany rides off with the survivors from the group. In the scene where he climbs out of the water, something weird happens with Longclaw. The eyes on the wolf go from white to blue. Now, let's try to break this down. Jon Snow has already died once before, which places him in this special category of people who have a big role when it comes to the Lord of Light and defeating Winter. Beric reminds Jon of the fact that the Red God brings back the two of them, no one else, pointing to the idea that their purpose may be bigger than the others. Unfortunately, we said goodbye to our favorite drunk Red Priest. Since Thoros of Myr has passed away, Beric is on his last life. The puzzle is starting to finally come together. The Hound noticed the mountaintop that looked like an arrowhead from what he saw in the flames. This is the same place near where the Night King was created. I feel like this area serves a bigger role as well, just like the symbols from the earlier seasons starting to show up in the caves at Dragonstone. It all correlates with things that we've been shown before. Anyway, I think I should address Benjen's farewell to Jon and giving him his horse so Jon could escape the army. Benjen was saved by the children of the forest, so is it far-fetched to think he has an idea of what needs to happen for the living to beat the dead? I mean, he showed up just in the nick of time to save Jon, who is likely the biggest piece to the puzzle. I have a weird feeling that a number of characters throughout the story have been tasked to do certain things that help alter the timeline and ultimately saves the living during winter. Like Jeor Mormont, for example. In the books, he had a pet raven who spoke intelligently, grew fond of Jon Snow, and helped influence the election in favor of Jon becoming Lord Commander. Jeor gives Jon his Valyrian steel sword Longclaw, a blade that has been in the Mormont family for hundreds of years. Longclaw was collecting dust because it was formerly his son Jorah's sword. Jorah had to give it up when he left his seat at the head of Bear Island. Jeor's sister brought it to him at the wall since he was already there serving in the Night's Watch. Now I know Jeor said he wanted to give Jorah Bear Island, but why did Jeor really go to the wall? He wasn't a criminal or in trouble like a lot of recruits are when they arrive at Castle Black. He was just an old man who wanted to let his son rule. I don't know, it just seems like something else led him there. And to groom Jon Snow and give him a special blade, it just seems too coincidental. Anyway, those are the big takeaways from episode 6. What part stood out most for you? Was it Viserion? It was him, wasn't it? As always, have a great day, take care, and I will see you tomorrow.